This is a bird's-eye view 300 feet above Sheffield. Things could look entirely different in a few years' time due to the massive injection of Chinese investment. In July, Council leader Julie Daw completed the deal with Sichuan Guodong Construction Group, the first deal of its kind made directly by a UK city. Located in Sheffield's twin city Chengdu, Guodong Construction is one of the biggest firms in Sichuan, a province famous for its spicy cuisine and indigenous giant panda population. Guodong Construction has agreed to invest £1 billion in Sheffield. The cash will be spent over the next 60 years. The first chunk of money will be £220 million and will pay for 4 or 5 city centre projects over the next 3 years, creating hundreds or possibly thousands of jobs in South Yorkshire. At Sheffield's Chamber of Commerce, they are already looking forward to the prospect of the new investment.
There's a lot of money coming into the economy. That means in the short term, potentially lots of work on the construction and supply into the construction. But then there's the ongoing base for jobs that will be made depending what's built, of course.
So just what will we see in the city? The council have said they can't be specific as plans are yet to be made. Although they have talked about the possibility of the redevelopment here at Castlegate and Westbar. Mr. Wang Chanming, the chairman and president of the Guodong Construction Group, is very keen on building the first 5-star hotel in Sheffield. Unavailable for interview, Council leader Julie Daw said in a written response that they do have a master plan and have identified many development opportunities. She thinks anyone who wants a thriving, dynamic, cosmopolitan city would want office blocks and modern flats, retail and leisure in the city centre. That's bars, restaurants, hotels. Sheffield falls below some of the most successful cities in the world on that. Are more shops and flats what Sheffield really needs? The MP for Sheffield Central doesn't agree.
Overall, when we're looking for additional investment in the city, I'm concerned that it should be going towards areas which are going to create long-term high-value jobs. So, for example, in creating new jobs in advanced manufacturing, high-value jobs, secure jobs, jobs for the future.
Back in the Chamber of Commerce, they believe an international standard business conference centre is what could really boost the city's status.
We think the city needs it. We think the city's got a lot to offer. It's a good place to do conferences, a nice compact city centre. This sort of money can actually step us up and make it, take us from here to here.
Local law firm Wicks Solicitors welcomes all development projects as long as local contractors are invited to the party.
I would certainly like to see a lot of the investment being used to engage with local businesses in Sheffield, local contractors and other businesses, so that money is not spent outside of the region, that it's all spent within the region, and that will help to organically improve business in the region.
Before the initial investment flows into the city, Sheffield has already been singled out by keen Chinese investors. Behind me is the construction site of the New Era development. The £65 million new Chinatown is also fully funded by Chinese foreign investment.
We are looking at Block A. It will have the supermarket on the ground floor and the first floor. Above that is student accommodation. Block B is a 21-story tower building, commercial units on the ground floor. Above that, again, student accommodation. The Block D is the office building, events and banqueting facility, China Business Incubator, and offices above.
Jerry Chong came to Sheffield at 13. Now, with knowledge of Sheffield's industrial past, he thinks it's time for luxury development.
The development as a city was slightly lacking behind, which posed a good opportunity now for potential investors. But Sheffield as a city is a traditional manufacturing base, so it has a lot of skilled people here.
Just 5 minutes walk away from Mr. Chang's Chinatown lies the city's Chinese Community Centre. They hold a Tai Chi class every week alongside other cultural activities. But the centre is not the only thing making Chinese immigrants feel more at home.
The city is safer, the housing is cheaper, and the traffic isn't too busy either. In other UK cities with a big Chinese population, there's often Chinese gangs too, but Sheffield doesn't have one. I think Sheffield locals are nicer to immigrants. 40 years ago, they looked down on us, but now they're much nicer, especially to the younger generation.
I go and do my shopping in the Chinese shop, and there's some good few, good one around Sheffield.
The city's popularity with Chinese students is also ever growing. In fact, the University of Sheffield now has one of the largest Chinese student populations in the UK. The chairman of Gordon Construction only decided to invest in Sheffield after visiting his daughter at university.
Lots of students come over here because Sheffield is being a top 100 global university, and there's a high chance of staying because of Sheffield is being a really green city, and obviously it's a multicultural diversity.
After the Brexit vote that turned partially on fears about immigration, it's interesting that this deal came about thanks to the city's multicultural success. The £1 billion promise is seen as a significant confidence booster in the post-referendum financial uncertainty. With Theresa May's recent hesitation over Chinese investment in Hinkley Point Power Station, are foreign investment from outside of the EU truly the saving grace for the British economy?
Well, I don't think that the decision Theresa May's made on Hinkley Point will jeopardise the deal for Sheffield. I think that's based on strong relations and good decisions. Certainly we should be encouraging, as we have been for many years, investment from non-EU countries. We should still be ensuring that we have the right relationship with the European single market to ensure that other companies, other countries feel confident about the money that they're putting into Britain.
Whether from the EU or the Far East, foreign investment is never welcomed by all due to its possible drawbacks.
The danger is for the people of Sheffield that there's lots of activity here, but that the money gets sucked out to remote places. This is certainly something we've seen with some of the big contracts that the council has entered into: repair streets, to empty the bins. These are contracts with Amy, Veolia and the like. But this deal has been made by the leader of the City Council with contacts in the business world. But the other councillors aren't party to that information. So we don't know what's going to go on. So it certainly is a big deal, but not the biggest deal ever.
Whether or not it is the biggest deal ever, the investment certainly demonstrates the ever closer ties between Sheffield and China. It is 5:30 in the morning at the Manchester airport. Plane spotters patiently await for the Hainan Airlines Airbus A330. This is Manchester's first ever direct link to mainland China. Flying 4 times a week, it is building a new Silk Road between Beijing and the north of England, making China even closer for Sheffield businesses.
I've got some business to do back in China. So I've traveled with this flight for twice already, and it was very convenient considering the time cost is very low.
I am here on holiday. I can't speak English very well, so a direct flight makes traveling so much easier.
I think it make the life easier for my parents because they don't speak English, and also I think the food should be better on this flight, Chinese food.
Opinions are divided and prospects are still up in the air. But with developers already on board in Sheffield and China closer than ever, this deal could take Sheffield to new heights. Just News, Yilin Liu, Sheffield.